Hey everybody, this is Jason Rogash. Hey, I wanted to do a video today about Jade Helm. I've been researching Jade Helm the last month or so, trying to find as much information as I can about it. What you're finding about it is really from two sides. I noticed it's from the conspiracy theorists. One of the vanguards, of course, is Alex Jones. He has taken both sides of the Jade Helm. It's either a martial law takeover, but now it's not a martial law takeover. They're not taking over because martial law takeover will be incremental, and you won't see it coming. Alex Jones doing his typical having it both ways nonsense. Anybody that takes Alex Jones seriously or listens to Alex Jones is silly. He has been built up by the mainstream media to be the official spokesman for conspiracy theorists. It helps that he's nuts. It helps that he has that ridiculous Southern, that ridiculous Texas accent that gets worse when he's starting to talk about conspiracy theories. What I've gleaned from the right wing, and they're talking about Jade Helm, is that this is a martial law takeover of the Southwest of the United States, including California. Now, Alex Jones and others, not just Alex Jones, but others have said that this is to incrementally get you used to soldiers on the streets of the United States. Let me be very clear here. I do not trust the veracity of the United States federal government or the United States military-industrial complex. As a matter of fact, the military-industrial complex is the worst thing for this planet. It's the reason empires exist. It's where all the power lies. All this other shit is just dancing and being fun and bullshit. The military, the ability to kill large swaths of people at one time will always make and whoever controls that power will be the person in power or the people in power. But Jade Helm I'm not going to make fun of conspiracy theorists. I know a lot of people, because of the tones of my videos, I always make fun of conspiracy theorists, and I say, well, you're being ridiculous, and you're overblowing it. Alex Jones is being ridiculous, and he's overblowing it. But what would you expect the average conspiracy theorist, a person who is conscious, who's quote-unquote awake, who doesn't listen to Alex Jones, who doesn't pay attention to that shit, sees Jade Helm happening, 1,200 troops coming to the Southwest United States, many of them Green Berets, many of them Special Forces, many of them Navy SEALs, using old buildings, using like old Walmarts and old other buildings that have gone, big warehouse buildings to store food and to use them supposedly as kind of centers of operations in some cases. And by the way, that hasn't been confirmed by the military, but that is what is happening. I mean, you can go out and you can see some of these old Walmarts or whatever, and they're being used to store things, and some things look like they're maybe military for this exercise. Jade Helm starts July 15th, and it runs until September. So it runs for 60 days. It runs for 2 months, and basically, I think Jade Helm is what we want it to be. It's a Rorschach test. If the average conspiracy theorist, and I am not making fun of conspiracy theorists on this one. This is one that none of us know what's going to happen. And there's a reason why we should be a little concerned and alarmed. 9/11, there were drills going on. I mean, we have Vigilant Guardian. They were running drills with jets, F-15s. Northern Guardian. They had in Alaska, where I live. They had these simulated Cold War kind of scenarios that were being run. So, and it seemed to be to get the jets out of the general East Coast of the United States, so they could do this. And supposedly, one of the planes, the one that hit the one in Pennsylvania, was supposedly supposed to hit the Transamerica building in San Francisco, which I find to be that. If that's true, then that would even make more sense to get the jets off of the western seaboard as well. I mean, get them completely off so they could do their event. So drills and the 7/7, the 7/7 London bombings, they were running drills the same day during that same period of time. Even had run drills before and after. Well, I guess before, and then they canceled the drills after. But so, and there are others I'm missing. I'm sure my commenters and people will comment and tell me the drills that I'm missing during some of these conspiracies. So make no mistake, there are drills that go on during, and we don't know what's going to happen. I can't look towards the future. Anybody that would say that they know that what Jade Helm is right now is a liar. They don't know either way. Do I think that the military-industrial complex is going to telegraph martial law in the United States? Absolutely not. So if we're using our Socratic method and we're just being smart and we're just breaking things down, Jade Helm would seem to me to be no real threat. It's too public. The ones you need to worry about are the drills we don't know are going on. You know, the ones that we need to worry about are the things that we just don't have any idea being planned. The military has always done. They have run other scenarios like this inside the United States. This one's larger in scale. Plus, when the maps came out about it, it had California, half of California as hostile. It had Texas as hostile. And the military explains this by saying, well, we're just running a scenario. It's just a map. We're just doing, this is all virtual reality, so to speak. And I can totally buy into that because we can look back and see many times where the military has sectioned off parts of the country as hostile, and they're just doing it as training. They're not doing it for any other political reason. One of the main things I think that's really catching on fire is the Texas governor coming up and kind of stirring up controversy by, saying things like he's trying to make sure the constitutional rights of the citizens of Texas are protected. If he could actually assure something like that against the federal government, I mean, a Texas governor has no power compared to the federal government, even a general. I mean, they could suspend fucking your constitutional rights with martial law in a second, and the governor would go along with it, or he would be in jail too. Believe me, when push comes to shove, the federal government always wins. And that we can be shown as an example of always being true. Why Texas and the Southwest and California? Well, maybe one of the reasons they're using it is because it is like the environment that they are facing in other hotspots around the world. Just follow the globe. Do a line around the globe from Texas and that whole area near the equator. That's where the action is. That's where the natural resources are. That's where the labor is. That's where the majority of the people live. So maybe they're just trying to... And I'm playing devil's advocate here because I don't believe this Jade Helm is some sort of martial law takeover. But I don't know that. So for me to be an asshole and come out here and say, you conspiracy theorists are all dickheads, that's stupid. I, like many conspiracy theorists, believe that the federal government is incrementally trying, like Alex Jones said, they're incrementally trying to put us into martial law, but not martial law the way we think. I think we think of martial law as World War II Germany. It's not. It's just isolation. And we've done that to ourselves largely with the internet, with technology. How many times I went to a bar the other night, and I was around a bunch of younger people, 21, 22, 25-year-olds, and all of them, every single one of them virtually, we're all sitting around a karaoke bar and we're singing and we're having fun and we're drinking, and they're all on their cell phones. They're texting. They have their earpieces in at a bar. An earpiece from their iPhone into their ear at a bar. And many of them did. At a bar where other human beings are. I mean, I'm 39, so I just turned 39, and it's shocking to me to see that, and I see that all the time. People are more concerned with their cell phones than they are with their. I mean, what are they on Facebook? What are they playing? Fucking Candy Crush? I mean, it's amazing to me. But anyway, I think they've isolated us. I think when we see the police, I think the best example of the martial law is the police, and thank goodness for things like Cop Block and Cop Watch and other organizations. They are great, and I suggest you join them and you participate in any activity that you can film a police officer hurting another human being, because that is going to change things. Not us railing against it and calling cops pigs, but actually videotaping them shooting a man in the back for stealing a car. That changes things. That gets the public reaction, and that really changes things. And I think they've tried to clamp down. I mean, if you live in New York City or a major city that has a subway system or a mass transit system, you will see police out there. You will see military. Sometimes they're police officers. Sometimes they say NYPD on them, but they're dressed like military men with M16s or whatever the hell they're carrying, AR-15, whatever the fuck they're carrying these days. So, if you're a paranoid conspiracy theorist about Jade Helm, it just is going to make it makes sense. Now, do I think you're being a little bit irrational? Maybe. But at the end of the day, you have to decide what your level of... I mean, we can sit and talk all day about the government lying to us and running drills and telling us lies. I just don't think, if we're, like I said, we're using the Socratic method, I just don't think that the military would telegraph it like this. It wouldn't make any sense. Number one. Number two, that is the largest... I mean, Texas, you're going to start to martial law takeover in Texas. We saw what happened when they went after Boston, how easy it was after the Boston bombings to suspend people's rights and go and have tanks rolling down the streets and shootouts on boats, in people's yards. I mean, we can watch the video of that. And again, that is the famous shot of the guy in the tank pointing his gun at the person filming them from the street. Now, that could have all been military-industrial complex to scare you. But we saw how willing people were. Two guys are loose, one guy is loose, and how willing people were to accept martial law. So to have military do a show of force, which is what this is a major show of force, and then take over, it would make no sense because people would be prepared for it and ready for it. And even if you were trying to organize a bunch of troops, it still would make no sense. And again, this could be just to confuse resistance conspiracy theorists more. It could just be one more thing because there could be something else going on in July and September. July and through August and September. We don't know. There could be an event that's happening around the world that Jade Helm is distracted from, or in our own country, or not. Who knows? But it's certainly fodder, and it certainly gets us away from maybe the more important things. I just say, I'm in summation and conclusion, too much, no secrets here, and that's why it seems like it's almost like they want us to know about it because they don't want to be. And military does this. The military is a bureaucracy. People forget that the military isn't some guy, one guy or two generals sitting in a room puffing cigars. It's a bureaucracy. There are people at middle management and middle management and level management and higher and officers and people on they're all over the place. And they have to justify these billions and billions and billions of dollars they get yearly. Excuse me. They have to justify it. And one of the ways they justify that is showing in parades and showing you in movies and showing you in public as much as possible how powerful they are. The Navy, how much advertising? Do you guys watch sports? Do you watch the biggest shows? And you'll see your tax dollars being used to advertise to you about your military. It's a disgusting, disgusting thing. And this is more of that. This is more advertising for the military. This is more, we are in charge, we're the badasses, we're necessary, blah, 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 bullshit from the Pentagon. And I think that could be very well what it is. But again, using empty Walmarts to store things, some of the weird shit that's going on. I think we all need to take a look at it. I think we all need to become independent investigative journalists when it concerns stuff like this. Go find out. Go snooping around. Go get in your car, drive to one of these areas that you think maybe are being used, and record. Or don't. If you don't want to take the chance of getting busted with the camera or have that, record what you see and make a video or write a blog. I think that's where we need to go. So let's not judge Jade Helm either way until we start to understand what it is. And we won't really understand what it is until it begins in July. Again, don't get too scared. But again, don't drop your guard and say, well, it's just a crazy conspiracy theory, because it isn't so far. It doesn't have either one of those things. We need to use the Socratic method. We need to break things down. We need to use our brains and just be wary and conscious of all of the things and information around us. We need to gather and collate that information and then express ourselves. It's my favorite thing in the world. It's the trivium. It's grammar, logic and rhetoric. Grammar, logic, and rhetoric. And I think if we use that for everything, if we use the trivium for everything, then we'll be good to go. So again, Jade Helm could be martial law takeover, but probably it's just a show of force in the military, shining its boots and having another parade and showing you how important it is and how necessary it is and how it runs everything. Thank you very much for listening, and you folks have a great fucking day.